This movie came out in 2003. For some reason, I thought this movie came out in the 90s. I kind of put this in the same category as the Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, The Faculty, that kind of craze of slasher movies. I thought, oh yeah, and then Wrong Turn came out. It's like, this is a good 4 or 5 years after those movies.
Yeah.
But it feels like a 90s movie. It doesn't feel like a 2003 movie.
It feels like a 2003 movie. Look at what they're wearing.
What they're rearing?
What they're rearing.
They're rearing, okay. Well, that was an inbreeding of words. So I said we're not that far from West Virginia. So. No, but I mean, stylistically, doesn't it feel like a 90s slasher? I mean, think about this. Like, 2003, I think, like, already in the horror, I think, like, The Ring had came out. And, like, The Grudge and that kind of stuff was coming out. Horror had kind of moved on.
To remaking slasher. Japanese movies, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why it's like, this is kind of a weird movie for 2003, I feel like.
Nah, because here's another thing. In the 90s, let's face it, all those horror movies you just named, not really gory. Mostly just stabby stab.
Yeah.
This movie actually has some level of gore to it.
You think so? I think this is pretty...
A woman gets lifted up by barbed wire and her face nearly gets chopped in half.
So, okay, compared to the Scream movies, I agree. Compared to, like, Terrifier, I don't agree. But
well, Terrifier is being made nowadays.
Even, I mean, think about this. Even 2003, I mean, that's got to be around the same time of, like, Hostel-ish, too. That's got to be Hostel time period. Saw, that's got to be when, like, that kind of stuff is picking up, too, I feel like. So
I don't remember.
That's what I'm saying. I never associated Wrong Turn with, like, Saw and Hostel and The Grudge. I thought those were two different eras, but they were not.
You want to know why? Because Wrong Turn is a fun movie.
Are you suggesting that Hostel, one of the most depressing and dark movies that I don't like at all, was not a fun movie?
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying.
Agree. I concur 100%.
And same with Saw. Even though Saw was a good movie, it was still dark and depressing.
No
real fun to be had in that. Just malice.
Yeah, I think Danny Glover looked like he was having fun, but...
yeah, right when he got his throat chopped.
He was too old for this shit. So, let's take it back for a second, because Wrong Turn, the director on the commentary, which I listened to, he said that he wanted to actually pay homage to 70s horror, and he said the big inspirations here are Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hills Have Eyes, which we can see this story is very much based on those kind of scenarios where you wander off on the wrong damn road, end up in the wrong damn town, and the wrong damn people /
in the wrong damn rec room.
In the wrong damn rec room. And the other turn, he made the right lane, he would end up in the rec room, and Bert would have shot them to shit, all right?
Exactly. Unfortunately, this rec room has a chopped up redhead.
Chopped up redhead. Anytime someone's called Three Fingers, you know they mean business. You know, there's nothing positive, happy coming.
Well, here's a question for you. Which one would you be more intimidated by? One Eye, Three Finger, or Sawtooth?
Sawtooth.
Yeah, same, because Sawtooth is also a mountain man.
Sawtooth sounds like he's got some really crazy shit going on. So
let's just say Three Finger is literally the weakest one of them, but yet the most durable.
So let me read the plot synopsis fresh off of IMDb. Chris and a group of 5 friends. Well,
that's already wrong.
And a group of 5 friends.
Okay.
Yeah. At first read, I was like, yeah, wait a minute, but it doesn't
they
say
weren't friends with Chris.
Doesn't say his friends. It says and a group. So okay. Are left stranded deep in the middle. Left stranded. That's not really right.
Yes, it was. They had no vehicle.
Okay.
His car got messed up. Theirs was flat and messed up.
Left stranded. I guess that does mean just that you are stranded. But I guess the left stranded. But I guess that makes sense. Okay. In the middle of the woods, after their cars collide, as they venture deeper into the woods, they face an uncertain and blood-curdling fate. Now, that's what I'm talking about. It's not giving anything away. It's just setting up the synopsis. Sounds interesting. Makes you want to watch the movie. That now would be like, and then some mountain men come and terrorize them. One called Three Finger. Watch as they slowly die one by one till our remaining 2 survivors are left. That's what the modern synopsis would say. Fuck today's movies.
Yeah.
I just want to get my one F word out the way and use it in a powerful way. Now, okay. That is our synopsis, folks. So, but let's slow it down and go back to, we start with Chris Flynn, who's late to a job interview.
So you don't want to talk about the 2 hikers that get brutally off-screen murdered?
First of all, I just want to say this. What the hell were these two doing? Because
They were hiking and rock climbing.
and the guy said they were what? How many miles away from anybody?
Yeah, I didn't really hear them. I didn't have my subtitles on yet.
I may know that. I said it was a good 40, 50 miles away from anything or anybody. Now, listen, I'm not opposed to people doing death-defying, risky, high adrenaline-fueled, risky things like this. Do it. Do it at your own schedule whenever you want to do it, as many times as you want to do it. But they're like, we're in the middle of nowhere doing this. Well, sir, what happens if you need an ambulance? What happens if you need help from somebody? You have no cell phone signal. You have no air condition, like in this apartment. That was sounding like a haunted air conditioning, folks.
No, it was my zero water behind you.
It was like trying to add a sound effect to my speech. You have no ambulances. You have nobody that can help. No cell phone signal. You should do this in a proximity to somewhere where there could be help if you fall.
There was
Before you try to defend it, just realize anything you say is going to be wrong. I see you trying to take the contrary view. This is stupid. They should not be doing this, all right?
So there was some help, and the help of they no longer have to feel pain. Actually, I don't know. It depends on what they did to the girl after they killed her husband. Do you think they ate her alive, or do you think they chopped her up and turned her to stew?
Well, within this very movie, we see certain examples where they kill people instantly, or some people they actually just kidnap and take back to their place to then torture them.
Which makes no sense compared to... Anyway, so after we...
So I'm not saying these early two people deserve it, but I'm saying that... I'm saying that beyond being attacked by mountain people, there could have been other things that happened too where they would have been screwed.
Well, here's the real question, because I don't think before we get off this opening, I don't think the girl should have survived the fall. Because you notice how... Because she was trying so hard not to fall, because obviously it would hurt from where she was. When she actually falls, she was nearly at the top of the rock cliff, because one of them was dragging her up, probably Sawtooth, because the man's a damn monster.
Mm-hmm.
And then she falls what looks like a 10-foot story fall. Pretty sure that should have done damage with her falling face first into the ground like that.
Nah, she was okay. Now keep in mind, I hate to always bring this up. She's okay. Girl from Friday 13 Part 4
It's the
thrown onto a car 5 feet below, and she's dead. What the hell, man?
That's why I'm trying to say, shouldn't this chick be dead?
Every time
She didn't have anything break her fall down to the ground.
Every time we see a fall, I'm comparing it to the girl from Friday 13 Part 4. She should at least be like, broken bone something.
But no, she gets up and starts running until she trips over barbed wire and then gets dragged off screen, possibly eaten alive.
The other thing about this scene, too, is as I think about it, I know that, okay, it's a slasher, so maybe the studio or someone's like, hey, let's show some kills right away. But man, you cut that scene out. It's just more suspenseful to not already know about this thing at the beginning. Just get us into the story. I don't think you need the opening scene.
To be fair,
what does it add? What does it add, the opening scene?
To be fair, all it adds is
body count.
Body count, or it could be mountain men, or it could be a bear. It could be a pack of wolves.
It wasn't
like the breed.
It didn't even show like a good death scene. It wasn't like anything memorable. Like
no, because both of them were off screen.
I don't understand. Like, you don't have to show this.
You know what? It's padding.
Well, I mean,
because this movie's pretty short.
Your movie's an hour and 24 minutes. So if you take this opening scene away, it's like
an hour and 19.
Holy cow! Yeah. Okay. So
at this point, it'd be a full moon style movie.
Yeah, I just I think you can just start with Chris. I don't think you need this open. Like if somebody showed up late in the theater and they just were like missed that scene, nothing changes. They're just like, oh yeah, what I missed, like nothing, and you'd be okay. You don't need this opening scene. So
not wanting to wait in traffic, Chris decides to turn around.
Yes. Now the director said he wanted the characters to be smart but not meta smart. So meaning he wanted them to be generally intelligent, but not like Scream characters where they're like commenting on, oh, this feels like a horror movie. He wanted them to still be like not meta.
So he wants them to be smart, but they still have never watched a horror movie.
Which is fine. You don't have to be smart to have seen a horror movie. There's people that are perfectly geniuses that haven't seen Hills Have Eyes or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, and this guy's a doctor too, Chris Flynn in the movie. So we can surmise he was busy in medical school. He didn't have time to watch Tubi.
That's fair. But I'm trying to figure out, because this guy does some stuff in this movie that makes me think, what is his workout routine?
Steroids.
Steroids. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he does
He's a tough dude, yeah.
He does some Captain America shit with this movie.
So by the opening scenes, it almost felt like to me, the rest of the movie doesn't add this at all. His character's kind of like wish-washy, but the opening, I'm thinking they're going for
Asshole.
no, but like corporate dude who's like never had like a tough moment in his life, just like corporate, like a straight-laced guy, but maybe he's never been in a fight in his life, like that kind of character.
Which is what the truck driver was kind of joking with him. It's like, so what you do is you get back in your car and you fix up your hair like 100.
Yeah, like a pretty boy type, not like somebody. But we'll get to this later on. But okay, so listen, he turns around, but really he's okay until he decides he needs gas.
He doesn't even need gas because he never didn't even get close to the pump. Doesn't even ask the old man.
I thought that's what made him like go there initially was gas.
No, he went there for a map.
Oh, okay.
Map and
well,
directions.
Yeah, well, back in the days, people could not relate to this back in the day. These days with GPS and smartphones, there was a time period where you just had physical maps and you would end up places where your cell phone wasn't getting a signal. And I mean,
or you didn't have a cell phone because, even the track phones back then were like hundreds of dollars.
It's actually kind of scary to think about. Like in that situation, I'm more likely to not be like, okay, I'm not going to go down roads I don't know if I have no cell phone and no way.
Only a piece of paper telling me where to go.
But you have to rely on the kindness of strangers and rely on the idea that this gas station has a reliable map and that the attendant there is going to have your best interest in heart.
The guy is drinking Pepto-Bismol like it's beer.
Hey, man, listen. Being out in the heat, the man's got some stomach issues. I mean, he's hitting that Pepto-Bismol like it's a Mountain Dew, though.
I'm about to say, I'm just, the first time you see him, you just see him drinking some pink chalky liquid, one tooth.
I didn't think that Chris said anything to him that made Chris seem like a dick, but the gas station immediately is like treating him like. But I didn't think he did anything that offensive.
So the way the movie is trying to portray this old man is more like that he knows there's something in the woods. He doesn't want to explain it to him, so he wants him to leave, though. He wants him to go back to the damn...
No. I check it as... I mean, I'm with you. I check it as, like, if he liked him, maybe he would warn him, but because he's, like, somehow offended by Chris and thinks he's a dick, he's, like, going to just stay quiet and let him go off to his death. It kind of, to me, gives that vibe, because he clearly knows, because when Chris leaves, like, you're the one that's going to need the help. So he could have warned many times, but he decided like, oh, this corporate asshole, go get killed. So but Chris independently makes the decision though. He sees on the map Bear Mountain Road. Oh, it leads back to the highway.
And even the old man, he tries to ask the old man, and the old man's like, I reckon. It's like, again, not really being.
Well, Chris isn't going to ask him. He's not asking, hey, if I go on this road, will people kill me? He's not thinking to ask that. So.
Well, no, but again,
the old man has to volunteer that information. Say, listen, you can go that road. People go down that road. They don't come back. That's all you got to say.
Well, so there's a slight reason for that. For people who don't, who have the fortunate word of mouth to say they've never seen Wrong Turn 5.
99% of the world you're talking about. 99.9%.
Can't say that because, again, it made enough money to make a part 6.
Yeah, and you and 6 people in Idaho are the ones who saw the movie. So
anyway, so this old man, which actually I believe he actually gets named in part 2. He's still an old man in part 2.
Is he called Old Man?
No, he's called Maynard.
Old Maynard.
Just Maynard.
Oh, that's a disappointment.
Anyway, so
Old Maynard would have been perfect.
Part 5, Wrong Turn 5, gives us Maynard's backstory. Because we pretty much get the Three Fingers backstory in part 4. Now part 5, we get Maynard's backstory played by...
Let me guess. He's related to Three Finger and the crew, but he decided to go off and live his own life, but then ended up owning this gas station.
So no.
Nearby his family.
Three Finger and his crew is actually all their... In part 4, you find out all their family is dead. They're the last 3 left. Maynard is their adopted father.
What?
Who just so happens to be a serial killer.
Holy shiza. Now listen. I get it. I understand it. I'll never watch it. I get it. But in part 1, I'm only going to go by the information I have in part 1.
Well,
and in part 1, he's an unhelpful, evil asshole attendant who easily could warn this guy And also, by the way, could have warned because we're gonna find out that Dushku and her crew are down the road already stranded too. So, all right. But either way, Chris gets to the.
Actually, they never even visited the gas station at first. They passed right by there.
You don't think
because
so?
they even said, "Oh, we saw this gas station down the road," and Chris had to bring out the information of, "Don't go. There's no phone."
That's true. So their situation was
they just didn't pass.
they just drove by, just thinking there's gonna be a road that leads back to the highway. I guess.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So I don't know if they're dumber than Chris. It sounds like they're dumber than Chris, but okay.
Well, they're also college students. Chris is a little bit older than them, and most likely 8 years older than them at least because he went through medical school.
It's a full-blown doctor. He's at least probably 30 then, you're right. Okay, so we have the fun dramatic moment of Chris pulling up to the intersection where there's Bear Mountain Road, and then the other road, let's say, is just freedom back to where he came from. They do the close-up on him as he's thinking to himself. Weird road, leads back to the highway.
Classic 2000s editing right here.
To that dramatic moment, and of course, he chooses Bear Mountain Road, and all is well until he crashes into a random car.
This is why you need to keep your eyes on the road, people. Don't be looking at your phone.
What if
Don't be
there's
trying to grab the CD.
What if there's a cute deer on the side of the road and you just want to follow his whole...
Don't be running over cute deer.
Don't, not necessarily run over. He's just watching the cute deer.
The deer's dead.
It can still be cute. Maybe not.
Bambi is dead, sir.
Well, all right. Listen, why you got to call it Bambi, all right? That's just cruel. All right, he runs into a car. Luckily, he's okay health-wise.
No, luckily he got to meet Elijah Dushku.
I was gonna say every road there's good and bad this whole situation, but we'll get to that later on because by the end of this, I think he's probably better off than he was when he started. But the car he hit is a group full of college kids, which we have Elijah Dushku.
Yep, playing Jesse.
We have Jeremy Sisto
playing Scott.
Emmanuel Christie's his girlfriend.
Playing Carly. Yeah.
I don't know the names of the redheaded girl and the guy.
Francine and Evan.
So Francine famously, maybe not so famously, but if you are like me and Nick, you remember her being fantastic in the movie Cry Wolf playing Dodger.
Yes.
That's the only thing I know her from, but she was fantastic in that. And I would have thought, based on these two movies, that she had, maybe she does, but I haven't seen her anything, but hopefully she's doing very well career-wise. Yeah, so we have our group of college kids who are friends but also stranded now because now with their situation, they're stranded not because they ran into another car like Chris, they're stranded because their tire was taken out
by barbed wire.
Barbed wire.
Jesse decided to look around the area and found out, nope, it was intentional. It was tied to a tree.
Which makes me think of Jeepers Creepers. Remember Jeepers Creepers, I guess in part 2.
Oh, yeah, when the creeper threw the ninja star into the bus tire.
I'll say this. These characters, I think, are smart, and they mostly do the right thing. As soon as it's announced that there was barbed wire tied to a tree, their reaction is still just, we're stranded. I would immediately went to, we're being hunted. They don't really just cross over into full-blown, we're in trouble, danger-wise.
I feel like...
But that's a sign if someone did this on purpose.
So I feel like
right?
Jessie is actually a little bit smarter than all the other characters because she does. Because you can see in her face she doesn't outright say it. Maybe just so all these characters did not get freaked out, but you can see it on her face like we're fucked.
The rest of them seem almost kind of like I don't want to say shelter, but kind of like. Danger is like the furthest thing from their mind. They can't conceive of the idea of like, what do you mean mountain men? Where she seems more like down to earth and just like, we're probably in trouble.
Well, here's the weird part because the way Scott handles himself, I looked it up, didn't get an answer for this, but the way Scott handles himself throughout the movie, I actually was thinking, what is he? Prior military, or is his whole family military and he's just a military brat? Because the way he speaks, not many people say affirmative unless we're prior military and that's how you have to say yes. Not many people come up with certain situations and can think on the fly like he can.
Right.
Unfortunately, it was still his downfall, but because of him, their plan actually still succeeded.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it because, the characters are mostly all a lot tougher than they may seem initially.
Yeah, the only ones we don't get to find out is Francie and Evan.
So, The plan, of course, is for 4 of them to walk and...
Should have been all 6 of them. But 2 of them decided,
Well...
no, I'm going to stay here.
I guess the logic... Well, there's 2 things you could say. You could say that, is there logic in, like, protecting your stuff, I guess? We're going to leave all our things there, but I understand that's... Didn't really serve them in this case, but...
Well, to be fair, if I saw barbed wire on the ground after running it over and found out it was attached to a tree, it's like, no, we're all going to stick together. Even though, to be fair, that still would not have helped them.
If you have 6 people, I can see a scenario where it's like half go and half stay. But antennas should be up with the barbed wire thing, and they should be thinking. But again, to make this kind of story work, the director smartly was like, okay, they're going to be generally smart, but they can't be like horror movie smart. Like, can't be like, oh shit, this is just like Texas Chainsaw. This is just like, we just saw this in Jeepers Creepers. They can't be like that. So.
Here's the thing with that. If this was Scream, they would be horror movie smart and still getting killed.
Well, then they're screwed either way. So
to be fair, nowadays they're not even horror movie smart anymore.
No. If they were Scream horror movie smart, they wouldn't have gone down this road. They wouldn't be there hitting the barbed wire. They'd have been on the main road, be like,
just waiting through the traffic.
Like, we're not turning off into, remember Judgment Night also with Emilio Estevez, where they kind of screwed them over in that scenario too. So yes, horror movie smart would have kept them out of the situation. Now, okay, so they leave to go walk, which you have, I guess, I keep just calling her Lisa Dushku, but her character's name is Jesse, and our main dude, Jesse and Chris are basically sort of. They're the only non-couple, so naturally they're
kind of more
hanging out together. Yeah, pretty much.
Because you got Scott and Carly who are engaged, talking all lovey-dovey, even though Scott needs to pay more attention because his fiance just literally left him in the middle of his wedding talk.
It's a pretty good job. Okay, so they leave, and we have the 2 back at the car, who I'm just gonna call her Dodger, which is the redhead. Francine is going through Chris's stuff and throwing his CDs and just like going through his stuff. And I'm like, okay, again, you don't deserve to die, but why are you just messing with all this stuff and dissing his taste in music and things? Like, I don't understand.
Well, I mean, she does get a...
She threw a CD.
she gets a tasteful of iron, if it makes you feel better.
Well...
Tasteful steel.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty good death scene.
Yeah, it was. I think
brutal.
I'm pretty sure there was an extended cut of this movie because I remember this. Cause watching it today, it goes by pretty quick. Like, she is technically still alive when we last see her. However, I remember seeing a cut of this movie where you actually see it go in and then about halfway through her face. That was my memory from when I first watched it. So I think there's an extended cut of this movie.
I feel like if there was, though, it would have been on the Blu-ray, so I don't know.
I mean, I don't have the Blu-ray.
I have the Blu-ray. I mean, I don't remember it being nothing crazy, so.
Yeah.
And also, it probably would have said unrated on the Blu-ray, but I don't know. Maybe your imagination's running wild with you.
Yeah, because to be fair, when I was young, when I first saw this movie, let's face it, still haven't seen anything too crazy because, of course, Scream's not crazy. I Know What You Did Last Summer's not crazy. So seeing someone get their face nearly cut in half by barbed wire, and I'm like, ow, how strong does that guy have to be?
Right.
Because the barbed wire is not fully sharp. It just has little points on it.
Yikes. Well, either way, we hardly knew them, and now they're gone, so.
I just want to bring up something.
Yep.
Don't break into people's houses.
Well, wait a minute now. I think I understand Chris's logic of like, hey, what choice do we have given the circumstance? We can knock, but we need communication. We need a phone. You don't. I mean, at that point, you got to put manners to the side and be like,
I got a question
this
for
is
you.
Live or die. Buddy.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Would you actually walk into this person's yard seeing how their house looked?
It depends on what my water supply is, how dehydrated I am, how long did it take me to get to this house, because I have to realize, like, okay, if we keep walking, what are the odds? How soon do we think we'll find another house? Like, will we have another opportunity again? There's a lot of factors here. If they're thinking, like, hey, we've been walking for a while, at this point, like, we're probably going to die now if we don't actually make some kind of progress here.
I'd rather die.
What? All right, now you're just being ridiculous, right?
Look at this house and tell me there's nothing wrong with it.
There's a 50% chance that this house is just normal, happy-go-lucky, perfectly fine country folks who will welcome them in for some biscuits and some soup, get them a phone call to some help, and they'll be right about their way with a new place to come visit next time for more tea and biscuits.
Hey, guess what? You want to know what that soup?
Chance,
you want to know what that soup has a name? The name is Francine.
Oh, well, okay.
So
I like my soup without Francine. So
either way, okay, fine. Break into the house. When you first realize you can't turn a light on,
yep,
probably a good indicator that there's no phone to be had.
I think that they are smart characters, but the one thing that's going to happen, this scene, it feels like they're in this house forever.
It does.
I know. I realize that someone's like, okay, well, maybe she has to go to the bathroom, and they're gonna like walk around. But they start
piss on trees.
They start investigating the house as if
she doesn't even use the bathroom, dude.
They're investigating as if they're like the police doing a raid looking for a drug bust.
They're investigating like this is Fred and the gang from the Scooby Doo.
Yeah. They're at this house way too long, and again, the red flag should be kicking in dramatically, like, hey, something's not right here, something's not right here, something's not right here. It takes a long time.
So you're there for a phone, possibly water. First off, light's not coming on, so there's probably no phone. Right. Secondly, look at the condition of the inside of the place. You really think there is water?
No.
So what you do is you steal a pan, you steal a pot. Mm-hmm. Find yourself somewhere probably 100 miles away from that house.
How, Sway? They're walking.
Just walk away.
What?
Keep to the water, walk away. Then when it starts getting dark, you build yourself a nice little fire, grab some water out of the water next to you, out of the creek, build yourself a fire, boil the hell out of that water so it'll be safe to drink.
Folks, if you're in this situation, don't listen to Nick's survival tips. He's leading to death in a different way, okay? So
how? If you boil water, all the nastiness in the water is clean.
Here's the thing. Now on the flip side, if they leave the house, let's say they stay there for 2 minutes to leave, my gut instinct is that their plan is to go back to the car. So walking back to the car, they're gonna run into Three Finger them on the way back home, and they're gonna die on the road basically. So they're pretty much screwed either way.
So what they should do is continue walking the way the road goes.
See, I have to go back and watch. Like, was there like a clear path to keep walking, or was
no? Because the road was actually taken out.
Oh, okay. So
that's why they turned around.
So okay.
To be fair,
so the only chance was them going back to the car, but through the woods. But they don't think anything's wrong, so they would have just been walking on the side of the road where Three Finger and them would have spotted them. If they were like, okay, this is weird, let's walk back, but let's walk to the woods, they could have probably got all the way, because Three Finger, when they went to the car, probably, they killed Dodger and the dude, and they might have been like, oh, well, that's it. There's nobody else. We killed them, take the car back.
Well, that's exactly what they thought, because then they come back to the house.
But, there was two cars.
Yeah.
So they really think that these two people came in separate cars?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
They're not exactly smart villains. They're good hunters. But unless they have any real indicator that there's more than two people with two cars, they're going to assume just two people.
I think you're making them dumber than they actually are.
I think you're trying to make them smarter than they actually are.
As the movie goes on, we see that they're at least smart hunters. But
smart hunters, but not exactly smart people. They're not going to put two and two together.
Okay. But, again, it doesn't matter because they would have walked back on the side of the road. They wouldn't have been like, let's go through the woods. But if they had gone to the woods, yes, they would have probably walked all the way back to freedom. Well, no, they would have got back and been like, where's our cars at?
Exactly. And then they would have just continued walking. Probably back to that gas station.
They don't want to look for their friends, though, and be like, where are our friends at? They would have walked back to the house to look for their friends, maybe. Maybe not. What? How far would a walk been all the way back to the gas station?
Considering the fact
did they mention that?
Considering the fact they were originally planning on making that walk, because remember they said, "Hey, we saw a gas station back there. Let's make that walk." It was Chris that told them not to.
Maybe under 10 miles, I'm guessing.
Yeah, either under 10 miles or let's be realistic and say 20 miles. It's still going to take them an all-day affair.
Would the smart thing still have been to walk to the back of the gas station just for the fact that you know that direction's back towards something versus walking direction forward where you just don't know what's down there?
That is fair, but at the same...
Like, well, I'm thinking now, I would have probably walked back to the gas station.
Yeah, the only problem is it's a desolate road. You can definitely tell this gas station doesn't see people, so not many cars even go that way in the first place, except people who go down Bear Mountain Road to die.
You're telling me the guy at the gas station, I'm not sure if I believe this, the guy at the gas station lives there permanently with no way to communicate to the world at all?
He's part of the family we see killing people.
We don't know that in part 1, though. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying from their logic, that dude has a phone somewhere there. So.
No, he doesn't.
Well, you can't... I mean, he probably...
He says it in the movie, I don't have a phone.
Okay, well, damn, all right.
Actually, let's rephrase.
I don't know.
He does have a phone, it just don't work.
He has food.
That is fair. That one,
they know they'll survive it there, at least.
Up until, Three Finger and the crew comes in and takes him.
Well, again, keep in mind, since he doesn't have a phone, how the hell is he communicating with Three Finger?
Message pigeon. Pigeon messaging.
They come back to the gas station and the old man gives him lip, beat him down, take his food. You live till...
Just give him Pepto-Bismol. I'm sure he'll be happy.
I have a feeling that because we know there's a sheriff in town, I have a feeling the gas station dude did have some way to communicate to the sheriff. He didn't tell him, but the fact that there is a sheriff there, I feel like the gas station would have wanted to keep that line of communication open.
So the weird thing is that I don't think that was originally supposed to be a sheriff. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be like a park ranger or something.
Park ranger, maybe.
Because I'm pretty sure it was a park ranger that actually got a hold of them when they called in the radio tower.
Is there a park nearby, though? Why would there be a park ranger?
Why is there... Well, if there's fire towers, there's park rangers.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, help. Three Finger and the gas station dude, even if they are working together, they'd be aware that there is, like, park rangers, and they would want to keep, like, a good relationship with them, I'm guessing.
I mean, we'll get there. Anyway, so...
Oh, yeah, we'll get there.
So
basically, they're at the house, taking forever. They basically took a nap here at the house.
Yes.
And then, surprise, surprise, here comes back Three Finger.
And his buddies. And that's when... And they already decided, these three mean business because we already found blood and gore everywhere. So two of them hide under a bed, which they're very lucky that apparently Sawtooth... I'm guessing it was One Eye that was looking for that bullet that dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Because name one person who drops something and does not immediately go down to actually visually look for it.
They got very lucky because, the natural inclination is to, like, go down the ground and just grab it. He's like, I'm just going to put my hand down there.
Right. So I'm assuming it's One Eye because obviously he wouldn't be able to see as well.
I also think, I'm guessing they have normal hearing. We have nothing to deduce that they don't have hearing abilities.
That's fair.
I really think that if you are in a very quiet area, quiet house, it's almost impossible for multiple people to be hiding in a space right next to you and you not to pick up some signal that there's someone else there. I know that they're like laying as perfectly still as possible, but whether it's the breathing or something like, that small of an area, I just don't think... I feel like if we were sitting here right now, right, and someone's under this table, even with us having no idea, I feel like we would sense that someone's on the table.
That's because we'd be kicking them.
No, I think just sound, hearing, breathing, something would make us recognize it. If we were in the kitchen and somebody was sitting right here by your trash can and we couldn't see him, I still feel like I think someone's over there. I don't know what that is, but I think so.
So I think I know the remedy of your situation is. They're hacking away at the redhead. So they're making a lot of noise with that.
Okay.
Not to mention Three Finger likes to grunt.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's true. So maybe they're grunting so much that they can't pick up on that. So,
and then they decide to go to bed.
Well, listen, I was going to say, in terms of watching your friends get hacked to pieces, this is probably pretty traumatizing. But they do a good job of keeping quiet for the most part. And they actually... It's a very creepy scene, but they actually almost perfectly get away without them being detected.
So, the only reason this scene loses its intensity for me is because they should have been out of the house 3 hours ago.
Well, yeah, of course. But now they are finally putting the plan together to escape.
But it is a nice scene where I think the movie doesn't even have background noise going on. It's just completely silent. Characters having to try to be...
Chris is holding the door open for them to get out.
And holding the spring so it doesn't make noise, which is cutting through them.
Tearing them apart. But then you have the creepiest thing where Chris looks back and dude's eyes are open looking at him. I was like, oh shit. And me having not seen the movie in a while, I was like, oh man, that's creepy as hell. That was a good little scare.
Especially since that's the big one.
So I don't know when it happens. Props to the actor that plays Chris. I don't know when it happens here, but in this initial escape, the actor really does break his ankle running away.
Oh, damn.
So he broke his ankle, and what happened was, I guess because the shooting window was so short or something, he didn't tell them he had broken his ankle. So for the rest of the day, they're still filming, and at the end of the day, he tells them, like, hey, guys, I think my ankle having some problems. They pull up his shirt, and they're like, it's, like, swollen like crazy. Like, you have a broken ankle. He's like, yeah, I've had it all day, but I didn't want to interrupt the filming. So, like... Yeah, and there's a lot of scenes where Chris is like in pain. That's like really the actor being like, "Oh, my ankle."
Well, luckily they remedied that by shooting the actor.
Well, okay, let's talk.
Obviously,
let's talk about the
junkyard scene.
The junkyard, which reveals that basically a lot of people have fallen into this mistake of going down Bear Mountain Road, never to be heard from again. Folks, do not go down strange roads. Just stay in traffic,
especially ones called Bear Mountain Road.
Yes.
Unless you're delivering Uber Eats.
So here comes Three Fingers gang, and they make the sad mistake of leaving their car open or leaving the car on. And actually, again, intelligent characters, they have a great plan. They're like, hey. And to your point, the military thing, what's his face is like...
Scott, yeah.
It's like classic military move. Somebody does a distraction. The rest of us are going to...
Get away and come back for them.
Scott and Chris, like, equally both... show extreme bravery
because
it's like Scott doesn't think, he just runs away. He's immediately sacrificed himself.
Well, that's first. So Chris is the one who does it first because he was expecting Scott to stay with the girls, but once Chris gets shot,
now Scott has to do it.
And Three Finger and the other two are staring in the same direction that the girls and Scott would have had to go. Scott's like, okay, well, this is going to have to work.
Yeah, and it's good. Everybody on the friend side and Scott, good thinking on their feet because they had a plan. Once he gets shot...
That plan goes out the window.
Well, and the thing, too, is, like I said, I mean...
Any normal horror movie, that's would have been their death.
Realistically, like, but Chris doesn't really have any connection to the other three. So there shouldn't really be that initial thing of just, like, I'm going to sacrifice myself. But they act as if they're all friends at this point. So Scott takes off, and again, credit the movie. He's not doing like a horror movie run. He's running his ass. He's running fast as shit. He's running so fast and not looking back. I'm like, well, at least they didn't do something where he's like jogging. He's like running fast as shit. The girls
immediately grab Chris.
Could just go run to the truck, but they're still like, we're gonna get him.
Now, to be fair, at the same time, it's try to save everyone. But here's the other thing they all could be thinking. My chances are better as long as there's other people around me.
Absolutely, 100%. That's a true thing too. It's like none of them would want to go run out in the woods by themselves and be on their own. So that's true too. So they got the truck. They're going away. They keep cutting to like Scott again, running his ass off. Like this dude is like the way he's running. It's almost hard for me to believe that they catch up because if he's kept that speed up for he should be way ahead of them. I'm talking about like Three Finger and all them. He should be way ahead of them.
So for some reason, because Three Finger's the fast one.
Yeah.
Yet Three Finger's the one who did not run after them. He's the one who stayed with the truck and tried to chase the truck down and almost caught the damn truck.
Yeah.
So he probably could have caught Scott if he was the one going after him.
But I don't know. Scott had a head start and he was just gone. Like... it takes a while for them driving the truck. It takes them a while to
get to him,
catch up to where Scott's at.
Yeah, problem is Scott being tired, having to run around trees, and also you got the fact that Sawtooth and them know the area, so they probably know a quicker way of how to get to the road. Because like, okay, they just took the truck, they got to get to the road.
if Scott looked back and didn't see them behind him, right? Would it still be possible for them to be in a distance where they can shoot arrows? Like, how far back could they be shooting the arrows to where it actually realistically will hit him in the back?
So here, the problem is it depends on the bow, depends on the shooter. Because if you have like a light bow,
Yeah.
even shooting, because in order to get the distance of the bow, distance for the arrow, you got to actually aim upwards. That way, not only goes up, but then comes back down and still going straight.
Yeah.
A light bow would not get that far. A long bow with a lot more tension on the spiel
Yeah.
actually would get that far.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the bow, depends on the hunter.
Okay. I would say,
And-
like, say,
and now
it seemed like to me, it felt like a long shot that they actually
Well, here's kind of credit to
get them. So
here's kind of credit to you always complaining about bows in horror movies. Notice how the first shot never actually came out until Scott actually slowed down.
yeah.
He slowed down, stopped when he saw the truck. I mean, he was picking speed back up, but he slowed down and stopped, and that's when the first arrow got him. So credit to you, they waited for him to actually slow down. I guarantee you they did not let off an arrow until he slowed down.
But I'm just thinking about them running after him. They have to slow down too to actually set the arrow up. Like, can they be running fast and on the run
So
shoot the
no,
arrow?
most likely.
If you break it down, it seems like a long shot that he actually got shot.
Most
down.
likely, what it is the hunter had obviously a bow and had the arrow at the ready, and then he would have had to stop.
He had to
pull.
stop and with amazing accuracy. Okay, I'm just saying the way it played out, him running top speed, I just feel like he'd have been so far ahead, and I feel like, yes, he did slow down, but he probably had given himself at least a 30-second cushion to slow down, catch his breath. I mean, but
it was also downhill. We don't know if Sawtooth laid down and rolled.
okay, you know what? Let's move on. Well, Scott's gone, and we're down to Chris and the two girls.
Yeah, and here's the thing: you're gonna ditch the truck, right? Yes, it is stuck in mud. Take out the keys and throw it in the woods.
They ditched the truck pretty quickly, though.
Well, that's because they couldn't get anywhere with the truck.
I'd have kept trying.
But me personally,
oh, okay, ditch the keys.
yeah,
Right.
Grab the keys, either keep them with you or throw them in the woods so they can't get their truck. Because again,
Right.
these guys most likely know a trick to get their truck out of that mud.
Right. Well, let's talk about watchtowers.
Watchtower. So,
What are they? What's the purpose?
the purpose is so they can safely watch the forest and make sure there's no fires, and also they're the place you'd call if there's emergencies because they're the ones in the middle of the woods, so they'd be able to get out. I mean, they're classified as fire watchtowers, so they're above the trees, able to see the entire area and be able to pick up if there's a fire that should not be going on, or like trees are on fire, forest fire, so they can call it in and get it set up.
Now, hypothetically, if you're on the run like this, you come to the watchtower. There's two parts of it. There's, okay, maybe at the top of the watchtower, this is our way to communicate with somebody and get help. The other side, though, is that we stop here and climb up here and do this. The people that are hunting us, they're going to come to the watchtower. They're definitely going to come check the watchtower and see if we're here.
You'd think. But in the movie, they were actually about to pass the watchtower.
Damn it, Three Finger. What are you doing?
You can clearly see the killers saw the watchtower, but again, they were like, this is the whole point
They gotta
of,
at least send one dude up there and be like, just see if they're up there. Come on.
again, this is the point of they may be good hunters, but they are stupid characters. Because they literally were about to pass that watchtower if the radio did not blare on.
Let's forget about them. Let's just say, though, if you think somebody's hunting you and you think they're generally smart hunters, is it something just like the house thing where it's like, you can stop at the watchtower, but you have to be very quick. Stop, get up there, and get the fuck back up. Get out.
Problem is, so most watchtowers nowadays, yes, you can do quick because most of them now have like stairs or ramps
Yeah.
that go up to them. Watchtowers back then, as you saw, has a giant ladder you got to climb all the way up.
Yep.
You ain't doing that quickly.
I'm basically trying to put myself in the position and weighing the risk of just keep moving or actually stop at the Watchtower and do anything with the Watchtower.
Be fair,
Because once you're up there, you are kind of stuck.
You are stuck.
Unless you can tree jump, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, right. But, so you kind of got pros and cons of both things. You got a pro of going to the Watchtower and you could possibly barricade yourself. So if they do check, they still can't get in there because, again, there's only one way in and out.
Right.
Now, however, that does mean that they know you got to come down eventually.
Yeah.
They will sit there and wait.
Especially if the tremors are after you.
Or...
and the tremors are pursued.
Or they're going to do what these three did and set it on fire.
Burn that bitch down.
Which I'm surprised by the time the fire got to them, the place didn't already fall.
Yeah. Well, look. All right, let's talk about the
tree scene.
The reality of this tree jumping thing actually working. Because
Jesse has some broken ribs.
Their landings work out a lot better. I don't think one of them would have just missed the landing and fallen all the way to the ground. But this works out very well.
Carly almost.
They get very fortunate here. That's
all. Jesse definitely would have had some broken ribs.
Yep.
Because she not only slammed on her ribs, but then she flipped over.
Yes.
Carly pretty much missed the first one. And Chris would have dislocated his arm catching her.
So my problem with...
There's a few injuries that did not happen that should have.
My only problem with this, what's going to happen here is that, okay, so actually Chris goes first, then Carly, and then Jesse's last. They show Carly successfully make her landing, right? So she's like sitting against the thing. And then they cut to, it feels like a few minutes of mostly Chris and Jesse doing things for a few minutes, and they're like going up ahead and doing their own thing basically. After a few minutes, they cut back to Carly, who's just still in the same position, and they're cutting down to Three Finger, whoever climbing the tree, like coming up her tree, her not knowing it. It seems like a long time where she finally is like, okay, now I'll start moving, and then she makes the first move, arrow comes, and she doesn't just wait and keep going. She backs up into her death, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't understand. Like, the editing made it seem like while they were doing all this stuff and they were moving forward, she was still just back at her tree being like, oh, okay, now let me move.
I think you may have... Did you look away at any points? Because I do remember at one point, Carly and Chris was up against a tree together at one point. And then Chris walked across. And then Carly was going to... And that was so. Yeah, but we just didn't see. I feel like yes, the editing's kind of messed up because we never really do see Carly move a lot. But
it seems like there's a period of time there where she could have moved, but then like she's made a choice to like stay in place to like where she jumped. She's chosen to just like stop moving until finally it's too late. It just because you think about when she jumps, right? The amount of time it would take Three Finger to climb the tree and get to where they're at. Because you have to assume that, we'll assume that maybe Three Finger, after set on fire, started climbing the tree, I guess.
He didn't start climbing the tree right after setting it on fire. He started climbing the tree when he saw they jumped onto the tree.
Yeah, so that alone tells us there's a lot of time here for him to get to the top of the tree where she's at. So that's a long time for her to sit there and then wait for him to climb up and kill her. I just thought that they needed like something there more in between to explain why she just stood in place for like probably like 10 minutes, it seems like. Which is a long time when you're fearing for your life. So
personally, yes, the editing is screwy because it focused mostly on Chris and Jesse.
And it felt like they were constantly moving.
Yeah, but like I said, there was one little clip where Carly was with Chris at one point. Mm-hmm. So it shows she would have had to move. Mm-hmm. The only difference is just the editing did not focus on her, which you'd think the editing would focus on her because she's the next kill.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just kind of like, I like how the death plays out in terms of like the effect of it, but it felt like sort of that we had to get rid of this character, so just like kill her. It didn't feel like so, and actually her character was like very amusing after her boyfriend dies because like she kind of like
she goes insane.
She became the most interesting character for the next like 20 minutes. So I don't know. I've said this a million times before too, in many different videos and podcasts. These movies always feel like you can't have a third survivor. That is, you feel like you have to have that final couple. The audience doesn't need the third person to die all the time. We can deal with 3 characters surviving.
As long as we don't get a fake death.
Or if you're gonna have 2 survivors, it's okay to have one of them be like not the obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could kill Dushku or Chris.
Jess and Chris finally get a moment of rest and sleep underneath a waterfall where they're most likely going to catch hypothermia. But anyway, let's get off of that.
They're at the waterfall from the movie The Quiet Place, so they're hiding from
They still would have
monsters.
caught hypothermia because I guarantee you that those water droplets are probably still hitting them in the face.
You know what the worst feeling must be? When you dream a 3-finger and you wake up and you're like, oh, just a dream. And then he comes and gets you.
The problem is that wasn't even 3 fingers she dreamt of. I'm pretty sure it was Sawtooth.
Well, either way, you dream of them getting you. You wake up, you're like, oh, they're not here. Everything's okay. But then they come and get your ass.
Yep, what was that? One Eye punches Chris down the hill.
And then they just leave them alone. They're like, oh, all right, see you later, Chris.
So no, Sawtooth.
Have a good life.
So Sawtooth goes down after him. So because it was funny too, because it was he finally runs into that cop.
Okay, if someone sees you like roll down the hill, right, and sees you go towards a car, something didn't add up. Like you can't just hide underneath the car. Anybody who comes to the car is gonna like find you underneath the car. Like I understand they did the thing where he looks down and Chris has already disappeared into the woods.
Yeah.
But would you hide underneath the car the first? I'm like,
no.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure the dude saw him go underneath the car. Like that's what it's just like. That'd have been the first place. So.
You gotta admit this was a funny kill. It was like, people are dead. Dead? What people? You.
Boom.
Just arrow through the eye.
I guess I should never question their aim because
that was a bullseye.
Holy cow. All right, so now
You think Chris would have grabbed the gun out of the guy's holster though? Because when Sawtooth puts him in the back, the gun's still in his holster.
That's true. Well, let's talk about. But we did. I think we brought this up before, like when we first, maybe like last week. There was a minor thought, I guess, that we had of like,
would Chris actually go back to save Jess?
Watching the movie, I get the perspective of, okay, you can argue that, hey, I'm free, I'm good to go, I'm gonna go, I guess, walk somewhere and do something. I understand that, but what we know of Chris throughout the movie, though, is like at several points in the movie, I gotta give him credit. Like he always is willing to sacrifice. He's willing to sacrifice himself at many points in the movie. He's a pretty stand-up guy. He's not like I think a certain personality type might be like, oh, I'm home free. But there's 2 things. He's a stand-up guy, but then
is the doctor in him?
No.
Yes.
I was gonna say we don't know what feelings he's developed for her throughout the movie to this point.
We don't need him to develop feelings for her throughout this movie.
It's Elisa Dushku. But when people go through trauma together, they do build a connection.
Like that, I feel like it's more of a respect thing. They respect each other more than just feeling like, oh, I could be with this person.
I'm with you, but I guarantee after the movie, he was trying to get them digits, though.
No.
When the movie ends, he's not just like, okay, see you later.
No, because she's still a college girl. He needs that doctor.
Oh my!
He wants a nurse.
Maybe she's pre-med. Maybe she's gonna be a nurse.
Anyway, Chris does one thing in this movie that I'm pretty sure would have burned him really badly, and that's he goes under the truck again, this guy works out. Grabs a hold of something and then pulls himself up and holds himself for probably at least a mile.
Well, he turns into Arnold Schwarzenegger in this scene. Like it's all full blown action hero stuff now.
So I even looked it up. Would that because I'm pretty sure everything under that truck that he could have grabbed a hold on to hold like that would have burned him like Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But the things that was popping up really wasn't a burn issue. It was, as you're driving, debris starts hitting you. What if the guy ended up running over a deer? Chris would have died.
I'll say
it's a bump. Chris would have died.
I'll say it's a really good example of really good writing because the cop coming with the park ranger coming with the car and making that a way that Chris can get back to the house. It's actually a really smart writing way to like get him, because otherwise, like, yeah, how would he actually ever
get there in time? Because
they're pretty far removed. So,
well, we get our climax. One Eye gets ran over. He fights Sawtooth. By fights, I mean Sawtooth probably should have killed him.
well, yes.
And then he struggles with Three Finger. Actually, Three Finger does some damage to both of them. I'm pretty sure he broke her sternum with that kick through the damn house.
Well, she said in the commentary that she did actually set the actor on fire.
Oh, really?
She apologized.
Oh, Julian Richings actually got caught on fire.
She said the commentary, she said, "Sorry, Julian. Like, I did not mean to set you on fire, but it just happened." So,
either way,
I don't think they're cool this day. So,
either way, after their little spat, they realize, oh, these three are still coming.
yep.
Even though Julian Richings' character gets so much damage to him in this movie. I mean, he gets thrown out, he gets knocked off the trees, which is probably supposed to be about 20 feet feet high, if not more, because they're technically at the top of the trees. He gets burned.
Yep.
He gets an axe thrown into his chest.
Yep. These kind of people, you basically have to blow them up.
Well,
Yeah, you can't negotiate. You can't stab them. You can't throw them out of trees. You have to watch them explode.
well, that's what Chris does.
Yeah, of course. He realizes this.
It was funny because
He's a doctor. He's like, okay.
just like, shoot him. He goes, I only got one bullet. Oh, look, gas tanks.
Yeah, one bullet, you're going to waste it shooting at his what? That's not going to do anything. You got to blow them up.
Well, that's what he did. So he blows them up.
They're still alive.
Blows them up. And then they get into the truck that... I need to rewatch the movie again. Because I don't remember the truck actually being in the driveway.
I didn't pick up that detail. You could be right, but
I hope it was in the driveway, because then this makes more sense. That they drive away in the truck.
Yep. So when they pull up to the gas station, does the attendant think that, oh shit, Three Fingers here?
Pretty much.
He's like, oh shit, my monthly expense, I gotta pay them.
Yeah, and then he sees Chris walk out and goes, oh, he's worse. He survived.
Now, if you're Chris, you take the map off. Do you beat up the old man? Do you just like go on like one punch to the face? Like, you son of a, like, just...
Well, it at the moment, we still don't know if the old man, or at least in Chris's eyes, we don't know if the old man 100% knew what was going on.
Oh, yeah, but come on now. Come on now.
But we do, and as much as this movie is great standalone, we get one more thing. We get a mid-credit scene.
Of course, we have to set up a sequel.
Yeah, because Three Finger's still alive.
Oh, damn it, man. Just when you can't keep a good finger down.
Well, in this case, Three Finger can keep his fingers up.
You know what? They had to set up a future with 6 sequels or 5 sequels.
5 sequels and a reboot.
And a reboot. Why?
And you want to know the worst part is?
What?
So part 3 is technically, timeline-wise, the last one, because 4, 5, and 6 are both all prequels.
Ah.
So part 3 is technically the last one timeline-wise. Ends in a cliffhanger.
Okay.
And we never get an ending.
Oh, no.
That's the part that annoys me the most, besides the fact that part 3 is shit.
All the more reason for me not to watch any of the sequels.
Just watch 2. And even though you know Three Finger is still alive because he's only shows up 5 minutes into in part 2, just watch 2.
Well, listen, let me get some final thoughts on this movie. I'm going to say this right now that I love a good hour and 24-minute horror movie. After seeing some of these Terrifier movies, it's nice to come back to the simple hour and 24 minutes, fast-paced, on the run. We don't need no lore until the sequels, and even the sequels hopefully limit the lore. I thought I wouldn't like the Chris character. By the end, I was cheering for him, mainly because they made him superhuman.
No, you were cheering for him because you were putting yourself in his shoes in the form of getting Elijah Dushku's digits.
He got those digits at the end.
He did not get those digits.
You don't think he got a phone number even?
No. What I think it is they pulled off. He dropped her off at a bus station and finally told her, "It was nice knowing you. Never call me." My final thought is, movie is fun. It has enough going on with it that it keeps you engaged. The death scenes are pretty good. Actors are good. And surprisingly, yes, Chris is actually a likable character because at the beginning, he wasn't thrown as an annoying character, but he was more thrown as you could either like him or you could hate him at the beginning. And so overall, I do recommend this movie. It is a fun time. It is just something for you to sit down, watch, enjoy yourself. Plus, you get a really badass song in the credits by Breaking Benjamin. So it's always a good thing to listen to.
Highly recommend. Watch Wrong Turn. Pretend there's no sequels. Do not watch any reboots or remakes. Pretend it's a standalone movie.
Yes.
And
Don't watch the mid-credit scene.
And the biggest takeaway is just stay on the main road. Don't take it back. Don't take back roads.
And always remember, if you see something called Bear Mountain Road,
Run.
Unless you are the delivery driver, don't go down there.
Wait.
And delivery drivers, always put the delivery on the table. Old folks cannot bend as far as we used to.
Why does the delivery driver have to die? Already, they're probably getting no tip from the mountain men. They gotta die too.
They're not going to die if they deliver it correctly. Put it on the table so we don't have to bend to pick it up.
Uber drivers, Uber Eats, do not go down Bear Mountain Lane. Just cancel the order. Your job's not worth it, man.